Hello, my name is Glenn Scruggs, and this is my podcast entry for Chapter 7 for Class PUA 5303 Organizational Theory. Now, this assignment will focus on three primary questions that were asked of the student in the instructions portion of the assignment. Those three questions are as follows. Question 1, why is innovation important in government? Question 2, how can innovation be used to improve government organizations? Question 3, how can organizational culture impact innovation and change in governmental organizations? All right, to answer those things, let's go all the way back to question number 1. Why is innovation important in government? Well, to address that issue, we have to first define what innovation means. To me, innovation is pretty straightforward. It means bringing forth any new idea or new strategy, heck, new invention or technology, anything new to address an old or new problem. Now, our textbook defines innovation as the creation of something new that makes money. Innovation finds a pathway to the consumer. Now, the government's task is pretty straightforward. Now, it's pretty big, but it's also pretty straightforward. The government's task is divided into a bunch of different categories, but in its essence, the government's task is to provide for the needs of its people as efficiently as possible. And that's not always an easy thing to do because the needs of the people constantly change, as do the environment that the government is operating within, right? So whether that's changing for political reasons or social reasons or even environmental reasons. You know, the climate's constantly changing, right? Things are constantly changing in our world. So a government has to be agile enough and innovative enough to not only address the issues that are happening in real time, but they also have to be predictive enough to put things in place for problems that may come down the road. Now, that's not just to provide the best customer service possible, right? That's to be fiscally responsible with the tax dollars that fund the government. Because we have to remember, our government doesn't exist in a vacuum. We don't exist in a silo. Our government has to be competitive enough to be number one right here in our country, but also competitive and innovative enough to be impactful in the entire marketplace globally. And we have a global economy. So those things are crazy important. Now, when I think back, one of the moments in our country's history, well, heck, I should probably say global history, was the race to space. The race to space that was initiated by President Eisenhower, but that was expanded upon by President Kennedy. You know, during that one chapter in our country / planet's history, we brought forth more new ideas and more new technology and more new inventions regarding space travel and space exploration than we had in the entire history of our planet prior to that. That's a very innovative chapter in our planet's history. So to me, there's no better explanation, no better example rather, of innovation in government than the race to space. Question number 2. How can innovation be used to improve government organizations? Well, we all know that innovation spurs progress in performance in organizations, also to include governmental organizations. So I'll use my local police department as an example. We were coming up against a problem with rising property crime and rising violent crime. So we knew that we had to do some things. We couldn't hire additional cops because our budget was capped as far as hiring police officers. That's a crazy expensive thing to do. Hiring cops is really expensive. We also knew that we had about 24 public safety cameras strategically placed all across our city. So we knew we had those two things in hand. So what we did was we got with a company called Dragonfly and we brainstormed to figure out an innovative way to address our crime problems. What we decided upon was to partner with the private citizens and the private business owners in our town. Anyone who has a camera at their home, whether that be a Ring camera at a home or a private surveillance camera at a gas station or a jewelry store or some business, we were able to, because of the partnership with Dragonfly, link all of that data from all those different camera systems into our real-time crime center, which is pretty much like our version of the Batcave. We have dozens and dozens of wall monitors able to watch those cameras as things take place. We're able to quadruple our ability to interrupt crime and to solve crimes on the back end. And what I mean by that is we were able to see things as they happen and respond to it and interrupt them. And we're also, when we miss those opportunities to interrupt the crime, because of data we were capturing with the real-time crime center, with the cameras that we were able to get through Dragonfly, we were able to provide better evidence that we could take to prosecute bad guys in our city. So we reduced our crime in both property crimes and violent crime by just being innovative. Now, that's not always easy, but law enforcement is historically resistant to change, resistant to innovation. But because we have a really good internal culture within our agency, we're able to sell that new idea, that new technology to our police officers and to our community. And lastly, question number 3. How can organizational culture impact innovation and change in government organizations? Well, a strong and well-balanced organizational culture can make innovation more easily adaptable and adoptable for any organization. If the 4 functions of organizational culture are firing on all cylinders, it makes it much easier for leaders of organizations within the organizations to gain buy-in from the employees and from their organizational structure. So if you have a healthy culture, if all 4 of those things are firing, you have good communication, you have good structure, you have good buy-in, you have good organizational identity. If you have all those things in place, innovation becomes much easier. The acceptance of it and the distribution of information becomes supremely more achievable than if you had poor organizational climate, organizational culture. So for those things, I'm thankful. Our organization has great culture, and ultimately, any organization who has the 4 principles in place, the 4 cornerstones of really good organizational culture in place, being innovative and pairing that with the ability to incorporate new ideas into your organization. If you have those 2 things in place, those 2 pieces of the pie, you're way ahead of the game. And that's it for my podcast. I hope you enjoyed the information I provided. Again, this was for PUA 5303, Organizational Theory. I enjoyed this course. I enjoyed this particular project. I'm a really big fan of podcasts, so thank you and have a great day.